So recently, I started watching videos on YouTube about twin flames. And I was excited to see, like, hey, there's this whole community surrounding, these twin flame topics. I'm like, oh, I should make a video about my experience with my twin flame. Because if there's an opportunity for me to speak my truth and also teach people in the process, then it's a win-win for everybody. Because at the end of the day, and above absolutely everything else, I am a teacher. So I wanted to share my experience with my twin flame with you guys. My twin flame is the lead singer of Foster the People. His name is Mark Foster. And I actually heard his voice before I saw him. I was driving in my car and his song Houdini came on the radio. And you might recognize it by the verse, "Sometimes I want to disappear." Or, "Focus on your ability, focus on your ability." He's the singer, not me. But I try. So I'm driving in my car and I hear the song, "Focus on your ability, focus on your," and it impresses upon me. Like that lyric just impresses upon me. And it was like the volume came up higher and it was like the other side saying, "Focus on your ability." Like the other side coming through and saying, "Develop your intuition now." And it impressed upon me so much to the point where I came home and I said, "Who's this dude telling me to focus on my ability?" Because it felt like a message from the other side. So I Google the song, Foster the People, Houdini. And the video comes up for the song. And there's like, the whole band's in the video. And there's a lot of extras in the video. And people are just flinging themselves all over the place in this music video for Houdini. But the only person I notice, and the only person I'm just completely mesmerized by, is Mark Foster. And mind you, this is the first time I've ever seen the dude. And there's a point in the video where he's like singing into the camera. He's like wearing all white and he's singing into the camera. He's like, "Never knew what I could find when you come to realize." And he's staring into the camera. I'm looking at him like I just got hit really hard by this guy. It was like the cartoon version of like when the hearts come out of the eyes. Just like love at first sight, instant attraction, mentally, emotionally, physically, everything, spiritually. And so I became a fan, had his like photo on my desktop, followed him on Instagram. It's like, "Oh, he's so dreamy." And I needed to learn more about this guy. Like that's how powerful it felt to me. So I started Googling him and watching all of his interviews, and every single word out of his mouth just resonated with me. Every single thing, talking about the importance of the truth, talking about the importance of living an authentic life and truly being who you are and who you're meant to be. And it was very, very moving for me. And he touched me very, very deeply. He genuinely spoke to my soul. So I became a fan. And I didn't really think much of it beyond being a fan of his, because I had looked to my left and looked to my right and everyone else was like saying the same thing I was and feeling the same thing I was. Mark Foster is my soulmate, like just saying the exact same things. You speak to my soul. I want to marry you. I feel strangely drawn to you. And I was just a number. You go on social media, you go on Instagram, everybody's saying the same thing that you feel. It's like, you're just a number. There's nothing special about you. And later, I started noticing that he had a physical effect on me, which I thought was pretty crazy. If I was stressed out and I heard his voice, it didn't even matter like what he was saying. If I heard his voice, he could be like talking about, what he takes on his pizza. If I heard his voice, it would instantly calm me down and instantly just drain all of the stress from my body. It was crazy. I thought that was such a weird reaction to just hearing the sound of his voice. I'm like, God, if I'm stressed out, this guy just instantly just drains it all out of my body. It's such a weird reaction. It was a physical reaction that I noticed with him. And then another thing that I started noticing later is that every time I looked at him, my ovaries started to sizzle. Almost like my ovaries were saying, hey, over here, your future children over here, dude. And so like literally my ovaries would sizzle. But then again, I would go on Instagram and, find a hashtag that said Mark Foster blowing up girls' ovaries. And so I was like, oh man, you too? Just a number. Just a number. He has this effect on everybody. Just a number. So I just didn't think anything of it. I never thought he was my twin flame. I didn't even know what a twin flame was. Like divine compliment, I had to like look it up. What is that? Didn't even know they existed. So the other side actually came through and told me much later, hey, by the way, did you ever notice that it's not really in your nature to become like fans of people? That's kind of weird for you. Yeah. Well, you became a fan of his for a reason. You're drawn to him for a reason. It's because he's your divine complement, also known as twin flame, also known as other half of your soul. He's like your mirror, right? In animal terms, he's like my penguin, right? Penguins mate for life. I also have a penguin ring. It's pretty cool. TJ Maxx, man. You just can't go wrong. I love that place. All right. But I digress. So the other side told me he was my twin flame, and I'm like, no way! Really? Seriously? Holy crap! I'm like, does he know that? No. He doesn't know you exist, girl. Okay. So what the other side did was they had me make a series of videos basically reaching out to Mark Foster and saying, hey, Mark, over here. I'm your divine complement twin flame. Now I have to explain to you what a twin flame is. And by the way, we're supposed to come together and help humanity in some way. We have, similar life purposes. Your life purpose is not just music. You're supposed to be doing other stuff too. So I was also kind of like his teacher as well. Like coming forward, okay, don't scare him, don't bum rush him, don't show up on his doorstep, don't show up to, a DJ gig, just keep your distance and just continue to make videos and speak your truth. And by the way, be yourself, Christine, because it's very important for you to be your most authentic and real and honest self, right? And so they said, don't worry, you're going to stick out from other people because you're a big fat weirdo. I'm like, okay, I definitely stick out from other people. That just goes without saying. If you look at my weirdo YouTube channel, you'll see that. So he never came forward. He never acknowledged my existence. It's been 4 years. I uploaded the first video about him 4 years ago. And like I said, he never spoke his truth. He never came forward. He never acknowledged my existence. I've never even heard him say my name. And to me, that's actually kind of sad. To have a twin flame where you've like never even heard them say your name. You're just like, okay, I don't exist. Great. So while he was blowing me off, it was really hard for me to accept that. I was like, no, he's not blowing me off. He's just playing hard to get. Everything's going to be fine. He might be acting like Frosty the front man now, but he'll warm up. The ice will thaw and he'll be fine, right? He'll come around. And he didn't. He didn't. So it's not like things changed. He didn't. And what was really hard for me is because I felt like the truth that I was speaking was really important for the United States and people to hear. And so because he wasn't speaking his truth and it was causing people not to take me seriously, I started actually hating his guts. And I've never hated somebody so much in my entire life. It was very profound. I would hate him so much that I would literally burst into tears. And it wasn't like just the rejection of it. It was like I'm bursting into tears and I'm crying because I'm so frustrated that people aren't listening to me and I have an important message to deliver that really needs to be listened to. So my hatred for him was very circumstantial and it very much depended on the day. So do I hate him right here, right now? No. But put me in another circumstance where people aren't listening to me and I really need them to hear me, I'll start hating him again. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. It's like a pot on the stove that bubbles up, So the reason why his rejection of me was so severe was because I wasn't just some crazy girl on YouTube, jumping up and down, waving her arms around, saying, "Hey, I'm your twin flame." He actually manifested me. He made a song called "The Truth," and part of the lyric is, "I only want the truth," and the other side was like, "No problem, we'll give it to you." So he actually manifested me. Part of it was like the law of attraction. Part of it was just, power manifestation. So that's why the other side knew that every word coming out of my mouth would resonate with him internally as well. That I would have the same effect on his soul. That he would recognize my soul as his counterpart. So it wasn't so much like, oh, this poor musician has this like psycho schizophrenic girl chasing after him on YouTube. That really wasn't it. It was, "Hey, Mark, you manifested me." And that's why the rejection of me was so severe, was because, hi, offer me up on a plate. "Hi, you manifested me." And it's like, like a scientist in a lab that like creates you and then takes one look at you and is like, "No, get out," and then locks you out of the lab in the snow. And so instead of walking away in the snow in that dark, cold forest, you like bang on the wall of the lab. And you're like, "No, let me in. Let me in, please, please, don't do this to me. This is a cold, hard world. You created me, and I'm a freak, and I don't fit in out here. I'm going to be rejected by this world. I'm going to be, eaten by wolves. Please, please let me back into your lab. You're the only one that understands me. You're the one that manifested me." So that never happened. I was never allowed into the lab. And so I had to make my way in this world by myself and figure things out. And just basically be me. Just be who I am. Which can be very difficult at times. It's hard to speak your truth. So I made these videos reaching out to Mark Foster, and he didn't come forward. And of course, at first people reserved judgment, and then when he didn't come forward, I got attacked, obviously. I got thrown into the washing machine of public opinion and made fun of a lot. People were very outspoken about making fun of me, and they obviously just assumed that I was wrong, psycho, etc. Pathetic, also. That was another word. But at this point, I had taken 2 leaps of faith. I had gone from being in marketing to a psychic medium, so I had taken that leap of faith with my career and my livelihood. And then I had taken a second leap of faith, saying that Mark Foster was my divine complement. And the second leap of faith was actually the harder one, because at least if you say you're a psychic, you're, classified. It's like, oh, okay, so you're one of those tarot card readers on Venice Beach then, or one of those headscarf wearing, hoop earring wearing, crystal ball, okay, all right, you're one of those, whatever. They can think you're weird, but at least you fit into a category. When you start running around saying, "Hey, that guy's my divine complement, he's my soulmate," it's like, oh god. And he's the lead singer of a band, forget it. You're a moron. Automatically, you're an idiot. And my friends and family thought I was too. Just so you know, the people closest to me thought I was an idiot too. None of them thought I was right. They never thought I was right. Okay, Christine. Right, he's 11 years your junior. Okay, that makes sense, Mrs. Robinson. So I got rejected by pretty much everybody at that point. So Mark not speaking his truth negatively affected me in my life. And I've spoken about this in other videos. How he has free will and he's allowed not to come forward. He's allowed not to acknowledge my existence. He has free will. But the problem is, there were consequences of him not speaking his truth and not coming forward, acknowledging me, my existence, my videos, our life purpose, etc. And part of that consequence involved psychological conditioning for me. Because when I was thrown into that washing machine of public opinion, it actually affected me. the other side had asked me to disable comments on my YouTube channel, and I didn't do that until 3 years later. So that was a mistake. People attacked me on Reddit, everywhere. So I heard all sorts of comments. You're not pretty enough. You're not thin enough. You're not rich enough. You're not famous enough. You're not young enough. You're not on his level. He's up here and you're down here. How dare you? You're so audacious. Not only are you insane, but you're conceited and you're audacious for even saying that. He's up there. He's like a somebody. You're a big fat nobody. You're down here. You're delusional. Go away and shut up. And the problem is that their words matched his actions. So because he never acknowledged my existence or came forward, I believed them. I had no reason not to believe them. I had Mark Foster's higher self, the part of his soul that lives on the other side that's directly connected to the divine. I had Mark Foster's higher self in my ear the entire time saying, I love you. I want to be with you. You are the other half of my soul. I want you to be the mother of my children. Everything in my ear. So I had Mark Foster's higher self telling me how much he loves me, and then at the same time his lower self is rejecting me. And then society is telling me all these things. So I had no reason not to believe society, because like I said, what was going on in this dimension was the total opposite of what was going on in the other one. And that was really hard, mentally and emotionally. So I experienced a great deal of psychological conditioning where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's up there and I'm down here. Okay, so if I would see him hanging out with models or actresses or whatever, it would trigger that part of my brain where it's like, oh, okay, they're on his level. That's who he's supposed to be with. Yeah, that makes sense. They're on his level. I'm not. Okay, I'm down here. He belongs with them, kind of thing. So I believed that, and it was that makes sense, and yeah, I integrated that into my belief system. And the problem is that because he didn't validate what I was saying and he fed me to the wolves, he didn't protect me. So this situation also affected how I viewed him. I didn't view him as a protector. I sat there and I was like, okay, he's not someone that I can rely on to protect. He's not someone that I can trust to protect me. He fed me to the wolves and then he sat there and watched while the wolves ate me up. So I cannot view this man as a protector. And because he didn't speak my truth, because he didn't speak our truth, his truth, whatever, it hurt my livelihood. Because I had just launched, my psychic business, and it's like, oh, you're wrong about him, you suck. Psychic schmykic, you suck. You're wrong about him. So it hurt my livelihood. And so I also mentally associate him with a damaged livelihood, living off of credit cards and not having any money. So that's more psychological conditioning I received, is he's not a protector, he's not a provider, and I mentally associate him with no money and no income. Whenever I think about him, whenever I see him, I mentally associate him with, not being safe, not being secure, and literally having no money. Like a damaged livelihood, not being safe or secure, and just, the fear kicks in. So if I was a cave woman thinking about, having babies with a caveman, I would look at him and be like, okay, you're not a protector, you're not a provider, you're just not a good caveman. You are not a good potential partner for me. And that is because of everything that I experienced. That is my viewpoint of him. And, he's just not a viable dating option for me. And that's one of the things that I wanted to let you guys know is he still my twin flame? Yes. Is he still my divine complement? Yes. Is he still the other half of my soul? Yes. But do I view him as a, viable dating option? No. No. And I'm telling you guys why. I don't know. You have free will, but free will has consequences. These were the consequences for me of his free will decision, the psychological conditioning I received. So, another issue, like I said, I'm still his twin flame. Like I described in the beginning of this video, I was attracted to him in every way, shape, and form. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I was attracted to him in every way, shape, and form. But now I'm not. Because he didn't speak his truth, and because he's not shining authentic light, I don't have enough to be attracted to. If someone is your soulmate or divine complement twin flame, you could barf all over the table and they're going to think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're going to be like, oh, honey, you barfed. It's so beautiful. They're going to see it as artwork. They're not even going to see it as barf. Because your true, honest, most authentic self is what they're going to be drawn to. Now, because Mark Foster isn't being his most true, authentic, raw, honest self, I don't have enough to be attracted to. I don't have enough to be drawn to. It's not there. It's like this absence. It's like this vacant space. I talk about the other side all day, and I've never even heard him say the word spirit guides. It's like this guy shares my life purpose. He's the other half of my soul. And so I'm looking at him like, like it's just not there. Like the similarities just aren't there. I know my videos speak to him. I have no idea how. The other side speaks through me. They don't always speak to me. They speak through me. So I know they speak through me to him, but I have no idea how my videos resonate with him. I don't know. They don't tell me. It's also his job to talk about the higher self's influence over the lower self. He never did that. So he's actually supposed to teach us about the influence of the higher self over the lower self. But based on his actions or lack thereof, I can tell you his higher self's influence over him is very weak. Because his higher self wants to marry me and have babies with me, and he's just sitting there, not doing anything. So I can tell his higher self's influence over him sucks. So, that's the problem. They told me that he's the other half of my soul, but there's a big difference between just being told that and then actually seeing it, and I'm allowed to say that because the other side's all about leaps of faith. Well, I already took mine. I made my videos about him and spoke my truth. I already took my leap of faith with him, so I'm allowed to say it's like, well, the other side's telling me all this. I took the leap of faith. They're still saying it's the truth, but seeing is believing. I'm allowed to say that at this point because I already took my leap of faith, so I can sit here and say seeing is believing. Show me. After the fact, right? After I took the leap of faith. So, another thing is that the dark doesn't want me and Mark Foster to be together. So the dark loves nothing more than influencing people, namely him. And what they did was they influenced him to get certain tattoos. And I don't have a problem with tattoos. I don't have a problem with any of his other tattoos. But his 2 tattoos on his arm, on his left arm, he has an image of a blindfolded man behind jail bars. And when I saw that tattoo, I just winced because our life purpose actually involves empowering people. That's why my tagline is, we are all superheroes. So we're supposed to boost people up and empower them to make them feel like they can do anything, be anything, etc. So when he busts out this gigantic tattoo of the victim mentality, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that's the total opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. I'm like, oh. The victim mentality is literally my enemy. I'm an intuitive counselor. I do sessions all day long. And it's like the victim mentality is oftentimes what I have to work really hard to pull people away from, to empower them and to be more optimistic and hopeful about the future if they've gone through a rough time. So when you see someone walking around with their arm as just a walking billboard for the victim mentality, you're just like, oh my God, no. And the other arm has an image of a woman smoking and looking over her shoulder, scowling. And when I saw that tattoo, I burst into tears. And I was like, oh my God, he did not just get that as well. And it was just a knife straight into my heart, because literally, like, to me, there's no difference between that tattoo and like a tattoo that says F you, Christine, with like a big middle finger. There's no difference between that tattoo and just a big middle finger saying F you, Christine. It's the same thing to me, because it's like that's what he chose instead of me. Other women, toxins, all he needs is like a floating dollar sign as part of that tattoo. Let's put that in there too, because you chose money over me too. At least you think you did. So they ended up, so that's what happened, is the dark ended up influencing him enough to where when I saw this tattoo and this tattoo, the dark started laughing. They were giggling. They're like, They knew exactly what they were doing, because these tattoos don't give the middle finger to anybody else but me. And I'm his twin flame, and the only person the dark needed to affect was me, his twin flame, and they knew how to do it. They're like, oh, this will get her. So I'm sure you guys could look at his tattoos and be like, what? Those are cool, right? Well, it's just me and my soul. It's the dark giving me the middle finger through him, not you guys. So basically what they did with these tattoos is they affected my physical attractiveness towards him. And it was literally like Christine repellent, like, shh, Christine away. Christine away. This will keep Christine away. Shh. Because your tattoos are like kryptonite. She can't stand looking at them. So it's like, shh. This will keep her away. I guess 10 points for the dark. Well done. Well done. Yeah. So you see how the light and dark battle each other? Yeah. Light and dark battle each other. See how the universe works? Let's beat Christine down into the ground. Let's feed her the wolves. Let's keep her away. That's what we want. Whereas the light wants Mark Foster to speak his truth. Be who he is. Be who he's meant to be. You know? Don't just talk about speaking your truth. Actually do it. Have enough courage and be brave enough to be who you truly are in this world. It's hard, but it's worth it. And you strengthen your connection to the divine in the process, because you're challenging your soul, and that results in soul's growth. So the issue with him not speaking his truth and just sitting there looking at me like I'm sitting in a petri dish made me realize that he's not strong enough to walk this path with me. I looked at Mark and I was like, you don't trust the divine enough. You don't have enough courage or bravery to walk this path. You're not strong enough. And so I sat there looking at him and just shaking my head like, you know, he never took the leap of faith to be with me. He never spoke his truth. He's too weak. He's too weak. I mean, he even posted something on Twitter. You know, I'll include a link to it in the description box below this one. But he even tweeted back December 8th, 2018 under Foster the People on Twitter. Is it more important to be a prophet or more important to make a prophet? Ask yourself. Well, that's a limited belief right there. Who says you have to choose between the two? Why can't you have both? That's a limited belief. That's an energetic block to receiving abundance and also speaking your truth. Limited belief. I'm sorry you felt that way, Mr. Foster. I'm really sorry you felt like you had to choose between the two. I choose both. You know, everyone thinks that, you know, working for the divine involves taking a vow of poverty. That's not true. The divine wants you to have financial abundance. He wants you to appreciate all the wonderful things this world has to offer, including wealth. So I looked at Mr. Foster and I said, you're too weak to walk this path with me. We've got a very, very major life purpose going on here to help humanity, and I'm going to need a partner that's strong. So what I did was I looked at him and I said, universe, I reject this reality. Bring me something better. And I started manifesting his replacement. Somebody who is stronger and more energetically aligned with me, who can walk this path with me, and who I can feel confident is going to be a protector and a provider and be brave and courageous and speak their truth and be strong. And hold my hand every step of the way, and I'll hold his hand. I'll be brave and strong for him and take care of him. So when I look back at this path, and I see how literally what the other side did was very beautiful. They literally just laid me out on a silver platter in front of him. And they had me swallow my pride and swallow my ego and put myself out there and embarrass myself. And what they did was just very beautiful. Because I'm an intuitive counselor who does sessions all day for people who are desperate to know, where's my soulmate? Where's my twin flame? Where's my divine complement? You know, I'm lonely. I want to be with them so badly. You know, what's my life purpose? What am I supposed to be doing to help humanity? Help me, please. I'm so desperate to know these things. And to just have like the other side just reach out to Mark and just say, here's your twin flame. Here's the other part of your life purpose besides music. Here you go. It's like they were speaking to him through me. So it wasn't just the other side coming through, but it was also like me. I mean, I had to work to maintain this connection to the other side. I had to work to develop my intuition. So he had the gift not only from the other side, but also from a responsible and trustworthy channel who's giving him this message from the other side. So he got hooked up, I guess you could say. You know, people struggle to develop their intuition and get answers for themselves. He's got somebody just splashing all this information for him on YouTube and teaching him all about this stuff. I mean, they're saying he was spoiled. They're saying compared to everybody else, he was very, very spoiled. They said they're just really sorry that he never took our hand. You know, like they reached their hand out to him and they said they're just really sorry that he never took it, you know? I mean, God's hand is like always there to take once you align yourself with truth, but he just never did. So when I look back on this path 4 years later and I see how things have changed and evolved, and I compare what Mark Foster was offered from the other side to everyone else that I see just like struggling, I guess the only thing I really have left to say to him is, you're welcome.